Thank you for joining us here tonight on Halton News. It's Friday, July 24th, and I'm Jessica Kading. There are 2 more active cases in the Halton region to report since yesterday of COVID-19, bringing our current total up from 33 to 35. The active number of cases in Burlington remains stable at 10. 3 additional cases were confirmed in Oakville, 2 additional cases since yesterday in Milton, and there were 3 recoveries in Halton Hills, bringing the town's number down to only 3 current active cases. There's been a heavy police presence in an Oakville neighborhood this afternoon. Police had their mobile crisis rapid response team and crisis negotiators on the scene as a male was in distress on Runnymede Crescent off of Notting Hill Gate. Nearby homeowners were told to shelter in place as police dealt with the situation. The street had been closed off and the public was asked to stay out of the area. Police were on Derry Road in Milton yesterday, and they're now looking to identify the driver of this motorcycle as he failed to stop for police. If you have any information as to who this is, police ask that you call 905-825-4747, extension 2403. A batch of mosquitoes trapped this week in Oakville has tested positive for West Nile virus. Dr. Hamida Magani, Halton Region's Medical Officer of Health, says that residents should be protecting themselves from mosquitoes until the hard frosts of fall have set in. What may surprise you is that urban areas are actually more likely to have mosquitoes that carry West Nile, and they breed in bird baths, plant pots, old toys, tires, and locations that hold water. To protect yourself, cover up with light-colored, long-sleeve shirts and pants with tightly woven fabric. Avoid being outdoors from early evening to morning when mosquitoes are most active and likely to bite, and use an approved insect repellent. There are a few more tips on your screen, and for more information about West Nile virus, please visit halton.ca or call 311. The Halton region has officially entered stage 3 today, with more businesses now able to resume operation and many public settings opening back up with proper physical distancing measures in place. There were 3 phases to the reopening plan, but we're not back yet to business as usual. I asked Burlington MPP Jane McKenna what to expect next.
Dr. Williams, with obviously his command table around him, is very mindful of watching, what's going to happen. As you know, Jessica, watching just even with the United States, we don't want to get into a situation where we digress back to the very beginning when, nothing is open again and we start back at stage 1. So they're going to be very thoughtful and mindful. As you know, this is fluid that, they're looking at, hour to hour, day by day, to see, what transpires. Minister Elliott is a champion herself that has worked diligently to make sure that people are safe. So, they will be watching that and managing that. But as good stewards here, we want to be mindful because I was at a situation this morning where somebody was unable to wear a mask. You want to be mindful for people that have asthma, that people that can't go in. The store is obviously, capable of saying we don't want you in, whether you can wear a mask or not. That's up to them. But, we also want to be mindful that people are doing that because we don't want to digress into a bad situation. And as you've seen in this week, a lot of people, the younger age, under the age of 40, is where they are, contracting that. And that seems to be, going up a bit with that, right? So I know that, when I was young too, I always thought that nothing was ever going to happen to me as well. But as you get older, you realize that those things can happen as well. So it's just being very mindful of those things when you're out.
MPP McKenna also had some good news to share about the YMCA and their child care centers as part of the recovery process.
We continue to have Zoom meetings, as you know, as we're doing it here. It's our new best friend. So we were thrilled to be able to have Jim, the CEO, Comerford, on the call, just to be able to talk about, how they're doing and, thanking them for all they do in the community. And they were thrilled to be able to say that 16 out of the 21 daycares are open presently to date. And, they were very, anxious to continue moving on with that. And I'm very grateful for the YMCA. I grew up here and lived on Stratheden as a kid, and that was very much part of my life to be able to go there. And it continues to be that, and always very supportive because they have done a wonderful job with the newcomers and also with employment, which is so important right now, as you know, with people that are looking for jobs. And so I'll just do a shout out for them. If anybody's looking for as a newcomer here or looking for some help with employment, please don't hesitate to call over to the YMCA on Drury Lane.
In other good news, MPP McKenna shared the results of Project Kindness in the legislature.
Speaker, acts of kindness continue to flourish in the city of Burlington during the COVID-19 pandemic. One example is Project Kindness. This initiative was created by Don McEachern, who saw struggling restaurants doing everything they could to keep their doors open. Then he heard about a Burlington family that lost one of their own to COVID-19. He was a father, a husband, and a brother. The family was devastated and faced tremendous financial challenges ahead, Speaker. So Don began visiting supermarkets and restaurants to obtain gift cards to ensure this family had their basic needs met. Then he thought, why stop here? There are many more people struggling through the pandemic. Through a Facebook group entitled Burlington, Ontario Takeout and Delivery, founded by Trevor Pochinek, Sandy Stark, they now have over 12,000 members. Don began distributing gift cards from local restaurants, which he purchased himself, to people struggling financially, physically, and emotionally, Speaker. To date, hundreds of people have been impacted by his generosity and his kindness. These include frontline workers, first responders, single moms, the elderly, and kids who are helping others during this crisis, just to name a few. Speaker, it is my pleasure to publicly acknowledge Don's efforts and thank him for his selfless compassion. His actions are one more example of the Burlington spirit that I have seen over and over again as a community has rallied together to each other during this difficult time. Thank you, Speaker.
And now we go live to Nikki Wesley at the new public school in Northeast Oakville to update us on the current state of construction. Nikki?
Thanks, Jessica. I'm here at Dr. David R. Williams Public School, and it's just about done. Inside, contractors are putting finishing touches. They're going to be applying for occupancy in the next couple of weeks, and this school is definitely top of the line. It's got air conditioning, it's got windows in all the classrooms that actually open, something I certainly wish I had as a child. It's got room for 770 students. It also has 5 childcare rooms, 8 kindergarten rooms, and 2 big outdoor play spaces that are fenced in for those little ones. Now, as we know, Oakville, most of the schools are already at capacity, and this one is no exception. When it opens in September, it will be almost completely at capacity as well. It also has a state-of-the-art mechanical system that's going to bring in 100% fresh air, and it's going to go into a low occupancy mode when school is out, which means that the lights are going to go down and the mechanical systems are going to go into a lower energy mode. So that's great for our environment. So it's looking forward to welcoming all those new students back to school in September, hopefully. And with that, I'll throw it back to you in the studio.
Thanks for that, Nikki. First Capture Studios works with students to help give them a voice by teaching them to tell their story through photography. Earlier in the pandemic, they teamed up with Big Brothers Big Sisters Halton Hamilton to give the littles a unique experience. Nikki Wesley has that story as well.
I grew up a very quiet, relatively shy kid until I found photography. I always feel like I've been really lucky in my career, in my life, to be a photojournalist. For 15 years, I was a newspaper photographer on staff at the National Post. And for me, that was how I learned about the world. I think I grew up in photography and found my place and my voice in the world through photography. So I had this idea to do workshops at home and around the world to teach others to find their own voice in a similar way. Young people are young people wherever you go. They want to talk, they want to be heard, and far too often they're not invited to participate in the conversation of adults. So one of the concepts of this project is, hey, you know, we're going to give you a camera, and then we're going to listen to you. We're going to hear what you have to say.
First Capture Studios has done 2 major projects so far, one with grade 9 students in a village in India and one for First Nations girls in Winnipeg. As the pandemic began, Big Sister Michelle Andrea Gerard was approached by Big Brothers Big Sisters of Halton and Hamilton to start the planned project before quarantine ended.
The littles really needed an outlet during that time and to express themselves creatively and just feel more connected to the world around them and just feel a part of history almost, and just be able to communicate how they were feeling during this time.
The Littles were all provided with a professional Sony camera. Over 3 weeks, they had weekly Zoom meetings with the Littles, teaching them how the camera can help the photographer share ideas and create a narrative. The Littles then went out with their big sister or brother and put the lessons into practice. It was a singular experience for Gerard as both workshop leader and big sister.
So not only could I help facilitate the workshop, but she and I would meet outside of the workshop and kind of discuss ideas and what she wanted, what stories she would want to tell and things like that. So it was a bonding experience too.
Participant little sister Kiara Levine was thrilled to have been handed a professional camera.
I was really excited. I really like photography, and so just having the opportunity, one, to work with my big sister on something like this and go through it together, and just working with Tyler and Michelle, it was really awesome. Not every picture has to be perfect. You don't look at your pictures, just take a whole bunch of them, and if you want to look at them afterwards, do it, but don't delete them, because every picture is just a lesson. It was really cool to experience that, and it was really great working with all of the other kids and seeing their perspectives on what they did and the pictures that they took. So it gives you different ideas of what to do next time.
So we've really created a little time capsule that captures the life and lives from the perspective of, grade 8, 9, 10 students, and how they're experiencing and how their families are experiencing life in quarantine.
Reporting for Halton News, I'm Nikki Wesley.
Thanks for being with us here on Halton News. We do need to take a short break, but we'll be back with tips for the gardeners among you from the Royal Botanical Gardens. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Halton News. Bees, butterflies, and birds are not only beautiful to look at, but are an important part of maintaining a healthy ecosystem. The Royal Botanical Gardens shares tips on how you can encourage these pollinators in your garden.
Hello, my name is Karin. I do interactive virtual programs at Royal Botanical Gardens to both adults and children globally. I'd like to share with you some easy things that you can do to enhance your yard and improve pollinator habitat. Planting native plants to support various pollinator food needs is a great start, but there's even more that you can do. They also need water, shelter, and space. Today I'm going to show you some things that you can do in your yard to address those first two, water and shelter. Pollinators like bees and butterflies need water just like every other animal. When it rains, it's easily available on the plant leaves. But when it's drier, you might help those pollinators by putting out a little bowl like this. Fill it with rocks and then add some water. But don't cover the rocks. You need to make sure that there's something for those bees and butterflies to land on, and then they can dip their tongues or proboscis to get the water. Another source of water, and actually minerals, is a little bit of mud. So, pour a little bit of water onto that muddy place, make it into a nice little slurry, and that might also be a place where insects might get their water from, as well as extra nutrients. This is a redbud leaf, and it's one of the many species of plants that leafcutter bees use to take little sort of postage type pieces from that leaf, and this will be used to line their egg chambers in their nest. And there are a few other species such as rose leaves and maple leaves. Well, you'll often see these little holes. Don't worry about them, that's exactly what you want to see. Some of you may use rocks to line your garden, and you're actually doing something helpful for pollinators, actually for a lot of insects. Being ectothermic and using the environment to warm up their bodies, these rocks warm up and actually are a place for insects to bask on and warm themselves up in those cooler days. Now these just may look like little old pieces of wood, but for some insects these are really important because they might use these for their nests. So keep some old pieces of wood lying around, tucked away in some sheltered spot, because you might be providing habitat for bees or other pollinators. Here's a nice little patch of swamp milkweed that I've actually left the stems up from last year, and those stems might potentially be habitat for solitary nesting bees that will lay their eggs in these hollow stems, and they also might lay their eggs in pithy centered stems such as raspberry. These plant stems actually provide habitat for a lot of different pollinators over winter, such as this goldenrod. We took some of it and other things like our raspberries and other plants, and we bundled them together. And you can see, if you look carefully, you can see that there are little holes that have been excavated out of those pithy stems. And that is because a bee has done that to create a little nesting chamber for its eggs. If you do end up cutting some of your plant stems down in the fall, just bundle them together and put them to one side, because they may already be the nesting site for some pollinators. So I hope when you look at your yard, you'll consider some pollinator enhancements I've demonstrated that provide two key elements: water and shelter. Remember, everything you do will improve the habitat and ultimately the biodiversity of your green space. You never know what might take advantage of what you've done.
A beautiful view of Bronte Harbor as we head into our 5-day weather outlook. Sunny skies this weekend, 30 degrees on Saturday, 33 on Sunday. The UV index will be extremely high, so please protect your skin. We're looking at a 60% chance of rain showers on Monday. Cloudy skies, still hot, 30 degrees. We won't get down under 30 degrees until Tuesday of next week. 27 will be our high for both Tuesday and Wednesday. Both days we're expecting a mix of sun and cloud. And now we'll look at how some of Halton's top companies did on the markets today. A new experience at the number 5 drive-in. We'll have that up next. Thanks for staying with us here on Halton News. Our update from the Burlington Food Bank is a little different today. The executive director introduces us to Lisa Lunsky, the coordinator of the Wellington Square Meal Bag Program. Let's take a look.
Hi, this is Robin Bailey, the executive director of the Burlington Food Bank, and I'm here with Lisa Lunsky from Wellington Square Community Dinners. They switched things over much like we did as soon as COVID hit. They've gone to a meal bag program. If you want to explain a little bit about the meal bag program and what you're in need of right now.
So the community meal that we were running flipped to a take-home meal bag program, and that is prepared meals that we're providing to families that need something to put right in their microwave in order to eat. So our biggest need is for food of all kinds, specifically bulk food items. We can do big hams, packages of ground beef, pretty much anything that we can take to turn into a meal for a family. We do really appreciate donations of any kind.
I think one of the big things for us with COVID is we really recognized how a lot of the food security partners have really come together now and supported each other a lot better than maybe we were before. We were helping each other, but I think it's just built our relationship and we've gotten much stronger at it. And so we're really, really happy that we're able to support you in whatever way we can, and we're glad that you're supporting the families that you're able to support.
Thank you.
Oakville Festivals of Film and Art is happy to partner with A71 Releasing to bring you The Cuban, starring Oscar winner Louis Gossett Jr. as a double bill, including an officer and a gentleman on the big screen at the number 5 drive-in. Here's a look at the trailer to pique your interest.
His name is Luis. And he used to be this famous musician back in Cuba. He even played the Cotton Club. He played with Bauza, Machito, Dizzy Gillespie.
And he told you all of this?
Did you really play with all these people?
Ladies and gentlemen, El Guitarista!
All this nonsense. It's a Cuban boy. Am I right?
Is that you?
Yeah, we know each other a long time since we participated.
Forgotten legend.
And you're sure it's him?
You don't have time to talk to your dad? He enjoys company.
He's a drunk. Things are not so simple.
Well, why not? Why can't they be simple?
You must follow our care approach, Miss Ayub. It's created for a reason.
He's a human being.
We gave him an injection.
No,
it
Mom.
was doctor's orders.
Luis is still a dying man. You need to wrap your head around
But that doesn't mean he can't live now.
You and me will teach us. We teach people how to love. Eh? How to love.
The film is directed by Sergio Navarrete and also features a red carpet Q&A and live performance by actress Anna Golja, who plays the care worker who finds friendship with the aging musician. The Canadian theatrical premiere of The Cuban will air at the 5 Drive-In on Tuesday, July 28th. For full details, visit offa.ca. If you're a runner and want to get back and give back to one of our local hospitals, VR Pro has created the virtual race for you. The COVID-19 virtual run for our hospital will benefit Joseph Brand Hospital. $15 from each entry will go towards the hospital foundation. Additionally, each runner will receive a custom face mask and bib. For those of you who enter the half marathon, you'll also get a custom tank top showing off your support for the hospital and your commitment to the race. Your run can take place anytime between now and the end of August. For more information and to register, please visit vrpro.ca/events. Thanks so much for watching us here on Halton News. If you'd like more, please visit our website, yourtv.tv. We're also on social media at yourtvhalton. I will be going on vacation next week. Sherry Ford will be in for me, and then I'll be back on Monday, August 3rd. For Halton News, I'm Jessica Keating. Thanks for watching.